You're listening to the Renegade Blitz, the best podcast for Steelers fans by Steelers fans. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. Read articles on RenegadeBlitz.com, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app.
And we promised it, an emergency podcast. Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, he retired on Thursday. And then, of course, there's a bunch of other news we could go on, namely the retirement of Tom Brady as well. But we'll first get into that a little bit later. Welcome back to the Renegade Blitz. I'm Ty Polk with Chris Ward and Brandon Walker, back for this special emergency podcast. And I kind of open it up right there. Guys, immediate thoughts. The retirement of Ben Roethlisberger.
Y'all expected it. Oh, Yeller had to be sent to the yard and get shot down by Kansas City, but we're not going to talk about that. But all kidding aside, had a great career, top 10 quarterback all time. I think that we saw it coming pretty much all year, so there's not much of news about it. But how do you feel, Chris? And we'll just roll from there.
Heck of a career for Roethlisberger, definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer. I can't believe 18 years, nearly 20 years as a Steelers quarterback, like a high school quarterback or a senior in high school right now. That's the only quarterback they've seen is Roethlisberger. And me and Ty probably, you remember Tommy Maddox and Cordell Stewart, but that's pretty much
I remember Tommy Maddox and Cordell Stewart.
Yeah, that's it for me, Yeah. So, it's just an incredible career. He shattered Bradshaw's records other than the Super Bowl titles. Bradshaw 4, Ben 2. But heck of a career for Ben. Like you mentioned, we knew it was going to happen, but it was good. It was good to see the video and everything, that message that he sent out, and all the former teammates and past Steeler greats, sending messages too was really cool to see.
Yeah, it was a great video for his retirement. I mean, he got to say his piece and he got to walk off into the sunset, and that's the ending that everyone wants. I think the only thing better, of course, if he could have got a championship at the end like his hero John Elway, but not everyone can get the storybook Hollywood ending, and I think that's a pretty good ending regardless. He got to walk out on his own. But, of course, there's been a lot put in the dust of Ben's retirement, of course, and it's been the treatment for quarterback Mason Rudolph. Now, that's been a big thing around Pittsburgh about that. You probably have seen the rant from Paul Zeiss for 93.7 Fan. You've seen Mason Rudolph's comments about, basically he's feeling like he doesn't have to, paraphrase, walk on eggshells anymore, especially after the rumors from the Lions game, the lone game that he started this season, which he got virtually no help from Ben Roethlisberger. So, guys, are we kind of giving Ben Roethlisberger almost too much of a pass due to the treatment of Mason Rudolph that's really been since day one? And I've always had a theory that was kind of his way of making sure that, you don't see a situation like Aaron Rodgers with them drafting Jordan Love, a number 1 overall quarterback. That was kind of a scare tactic that worked successfully, at least in the case of Ben Roethlisberger.
Well, I don't agree. I mean, we're talking about the dynamics between Ben and Mason Rudolph. I'm sorry. I think Mason Rudolph has handled it with class. He doesn't have – it's not Ben's job to mentor him. It's his job to win games. But Ben could at least help them out when he was starting, when he knew he was on the bench, help them get through the season. That dude was best for the team. Talking about 2019. Was he even around the team after he got hurt that year?
Yes, he was. He was on the sideline, I think about 2 to 3 weeks after the elbow surgery. He was a frequent presence on the sideline because there's a lot of because, for example, Duck Hodges had a thank you, Ben picture in which it was Ben Roethlisberger clearly in the arm sling congratulating Duck Hodges.
He liked him, but he didn't like Rudolph. There was something going on. Maybe because he was undrafted. Maybe he was seeing the end. Because I could have thought you could have made a case 3 years ago to get rid of Ben. I know you didn't like that tie, but
I still hate the fact that you're even mentioning it. But that's another thing.
I said that, but
Stephen A. Smith, I think, said that I know he tweeted saying "Thank God" when Roethlisberger retired. I think he said 3 years, maybe two.
I think it's hard to put a quarterback that was still slinging it like we all knew and love him for 5,000 yards. Yes, did he have better talent around him in a Antonio Brown and a JuJu Smith-Schuster that took advantage of teams covering Antonio Brown? But still, I think you got to throw the ball out there to even be a threat. So I'm just going to say this. The guy clearly, his elbow fell apart. That's why I think a lot of it's based off the early season for 2019 of people saying that he should have retired. Ben Roethlisberger, as it stood in that 2018 season, was perfectly fine. So I will die on that hill. I will say afterwards, you could say whatever you want in that situation, and I won't really have a fault with it. But in terms of the 2018 season for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Roethlisberger was more than fine because you don't throw for 5,000 yards just for nothing. He threw a ton of interceptions, and he improved his decision-making over the next 2 years that he played. So I don't know what more you could want for a quarterback that old in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he deserved the right to come back after that, elbow surgery and everything. So yeah, I'll probably say maybe not. Probably he like a year too late. Probably there was debates of him coming back. This season, but he came back and he did okay. But I mean, they made the playoffs, but they got destroyed by the Chiefs in the wild card round. And they barely got in too. They got a bunch of things fell their way. But as far as Rudolph, yeah, like you mentioned, Ty, like from day one, really he went on 93.7 to Ben, and he basically said he didn't know why the Steelers took a quarterback when they need more help now. So I guess Ben was just very territorial about it and stuff, and he didn't have a relationship with him like the other backup quarterbacks. Dobbs said something on social media. Dwayne Haskins, as you mentioned, Hodges, Charlie Batch, just a bunch of former players. But as far as the quarterbacks, and Rudolph didn't say anything. Now he could have said something privately, we don't know that, but in today's world, everything's social media. You think he would have said something, but if he got treated like that, I don't know if he really deserved to get a proper send off, from Rudolph, publicly at least.
But so we have said this before. I say he's top 10 all time. How do you rate him now since he's retired?
He's definitely top 10. I mean, you look at all the stats, all the major stats, he's up there with everything.
And so is Eli too. But we don't call him a top 10 quarterback. But I think he's a top 10, but
I think Eli's a top 20, if I'm being nice, a top 25 all time. I think that he'll eventually get in there because of the brevity of his Super Bowl victories, namely the one against the near perfect season Patriots. But in terms of that, when you look at it in terms of the 2004 class, he has the rings that Phillip Rivers, who, at least in terms of, I guess stats, you could argue maybe, in terms of how he did his stuff, he was better in that. And in terms of sheer stats over Eli, he was better. Maybe they have the same amount of rings, and arguably you could look at Eli Manning's rings as probably a greater impact to the sport in terms of the Patriots dynasty getting its second win. But in the end, you just have to look at it like this. I think overall, when you look at it, Ben's the better package out of his draft class. And I think he stakes a claim for a lot of what you would consider a top 10 quarterback. Really, when you look at Ben Roethlisberger, the way he played, especially early on in his career, and then you take a look at all the quarterbacks of today, what do they do best? Improvisation. Russell Wilson, you've seen what Patrick Mahomes has done over the last few years. That guy was the OG of that stuff, the OG backyard quarterback in terms of the new millennium. There's obviously guys back then, Franz Harkington at the top, and Kenny Stabler, that you could say they did the improvisation better at a time in which it was probably a little bit more difficult to do it because the defense would knock your head clean off. Not that they didn't try to do that against Ben Roethlisberger sometimes, looking at Richard Seymour. But yeah, there's a lot that you can say with Ben Roethlisberger, and there's a lot of arguments when you put on the field against him where, yeah, he's first ballot. Yeah, he's top 10.
He is, definitely is. But what I think is this. We know that his stats are first ballot Hall of Fame. His accolades is first ballot. But do you think the voters will penalize him?
I'll put it to you like this.
Trust me. People, they held T.O. at for way, way less.
Come on, man. I'm following half of Black Twitter on my tweet machine for wrestling. And they were crucifying Ben throughout the entire late run since the beginning, whenever he started the retirement tour. He's going to get crucified, no doubt, for his off-the-field actions. And I think it's going to play bigger weight if Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers retire at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that actually might kick him off the first ballot list unless in 2027 there's another pandemic situation in which they got to combine the classes and you could view him as a technical first ballot Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm. I think they'll allow two in though.
They'll allow two in.
I agree. Allow two in. They're not going to allow three.
Yeah, I think if it's two, they'll allow Ben and Brady to go. But yeah.
Whoa. So you're saying say the three of them retire?
Oh no.
Roethlisberger gets in over Rodgers?
No, I didn't.
Are you saying Rodgers is better?
MVP vote?
Is an inferior quarterback to Ben?
I didn't say
that. Has Roethlisberger even gotten an MVP vote? I'm legitimately curious. We hear all about this with Russell Wilson, but with Ben, I think maybe his best shot at being an MVP was that 2014 season in which he threw back-to-back 6 touchdown weeks. I think that was probably his closest.
I think his best year was 2015. No,
I didn't say that. I don't think Rodgers is going to retire. That's why I said Ben and Brady. I don't think he's going to retire.
We don't know. You don't know that for sure.
We don't even know if Brady's really going to retire.
I'm just.
Who's to say right now that that after this he thinks about it? I'm not really going to put Tom Brady in the officially retired vote until we're halfway through next season. And even then,
I'm pretty sure he's retired. He just wants to do it.
He just wants to do it like Ben.
Yeah.
Do you think Tom Brady's the type of person that's like, Adam Schefter says it, and it's true. Yeah. Come on, bro. He's going to come in and announce his retirement.
This dude threw 44 touchdowns. If he has some more time to think about it and he's feeling good, he'll go back out there.
He might go back out there, but
he's got his 7. He's got more than every franchise out there. But I'm pretty sure if he was feeling froggy and he was good in August, he might look up and go, might as well go for number 8. I'm just saying.
There goes a time in life is how much money you're going to make. How many trophies are you going to raise?
He has a supermodel as a wife, man. That's one of the reasons why. That's one of the reasons why New England was basically almost like they could get other talent around him because he was taking less than he offered. He was Sidney Crosby, like when you come to that money with him.
Yeah, but it's not about the money. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not what I'm talking about because I told you this before last time. Do you want to keep training the way you do? Do you want to spend time with your family? Do you want to do that type of stuff? There is more to even though we're on the foot. There is probably more to life than playing football. At some point, you're gonna have to stop, or your body's gonna. or the game's going to kick you out. And I think Tom Brady is not the type of guy that will go out and play like Ben did this year. That's not in him.
I think that's why he's.
That's why if he wants to go out, even though he didn't win a Super Bowl, you can say, I played. Look what I did at 44. I'm done.
Yeah. Plus, his wife. There were reports that his wife said that she wanted him to spend more time with the family and everything. So I think, in my opinion, I think he's done. I think he just wants to do a video and do it his way, not have Adam Schefter release the news.
I'm really shocked that he doesn't have this video on deck because remember, in one of his famous pre-game videos on his Twitter page, he said he created one just in case they got eliminated. Just in case they got eliminated in the wild card, he already had the videos ready to go. So I'm sitting there going like, man, if you wanted to retire, I'm pretty sure he's put together some like tape that he's gonna do after the game's over. I guess maybe Roethlisberger beat him to the punch.
Yeah,
it's probably gonna be bigger. Like I think Mia Kimes tweeted something about how it's gonna be like a big production and everything.
Oh yeah, you know when Tom does it,
men in the arena right now. What if that was another rumor out there as well, is saying like Man in the Arena is supposed to have like one final episode or something like that, or something at the final Super Bowl look-in.
Oh yeah, they're supposed to have one more, and then probably that last episode is going to be the Man of the Arena. But okay, since we're going to go on Brady, what do you think? Do you think we all know he's the best QB. Do you think he's the best overall player ever?
It's hard to look at. Chris's mic has gone out for some reason. Just want to make sure that you're all good there, Chris.
You hear me now?
Yeah,
we got you. We hear you.
Well,
go ahead. I don't know. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. I think he's the greatest quarterback. As far as player, I don't know. I have to look. I mean, there's been a lot of great players over the years, and he's definitely, I think, the greatest quarterback though.
I think
I'll put it to you like this: if he really does decide to call it quits, if the NFL were a smart league, they would go a lot like how the NHL basically did. Put him in right now. Don't even play. But they're not going to do that. They have rules set in place. But if they were a league that like really, really wanted to like make a bang, that would be one of the best ways to do it. Put a guy in there next year. It's already too late into the process probably to put him in right now, but they would basically put something in special for him to put him over the top. But Goodell's not that type of guy. If I was the commissioner, I would put him in right now.
Yeah,
I would too. But if they made Michael Jordan wait, they're gonna make Tom Brady wait.
Yeah, that was just like
he's got one over Jordan, man. I mean, come on.
I know, but so all right. What is your favorite Tom Brady memory?
My favorite Tom Brady memory. Because most of them are so bad and they're against the Steelers, it's hard to do. But I was about to be a wise guy and put it down and say whenever he dropped the pass in the Super Bowl, but I'm gonna say the moment that made me go, okay, I'm gonna stop fighting this guy as the GOAT. And the entire saga of 28-3 against the Falcons.
Yeah, I agree with Ty. I mean, he just torched the Steelers, throughout his career. I looked up the stats today. He was 12-3 overall in his career. 3-0 in the playoffs with all those AFC championship wins. He had a 34-5 touchdown to interception ratio. So I mean, he like a lot of teams, he just destroyed the Steelers. But as far I would say that last season with Tampa Bay, because taking the Bucks, that's when I felt like, okay, this guy's the GOAT. And he was a lot more likable once he left New England. Not only because he wasn't Steelers all the time, but it seemed like he got a little bit more relaxed. When he was with Bill Belichick, like he was a little like not as He was a little more uptight, I felt, and like he seemed a lot more likable when he left New England.
I'm gonna roll with the 28-3 too, Ty, because that was amazing. Nobody ever you think it was like before then, no team has came back from 10 points in a Super Bowl before then.
It was arguable. It was there was only one playoff comeback, and that was the incredible comeback with Frank Reich at quarterback for Buffalo against the Houston Oilers. That was really it was 1 and 2 in terms of like if you count playoffs, I believe.
Yeah,
and,
This is the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was the Super Bowl. That was just huge. That was just a moment where I was like, I can't fight this guy anymore about this. Like,
who did you fight about this?
How? Why? Because I was like every other Steelers fan.
You hated him. And it was after they beat y'all in the AFC Championship, too.
I always respected him. It's like, I respect his greatness. Even through the Spygate stuff, it's like, that's still another level of execution. It's like, it's a lot like steroids in baseball. You know what's going on, but you exploited that. You made the correct move in that situation because that's still a bunch of the best athletes in the world. One miscalculation from him, and he has less Super Bowls than he has now.
Yeah.
Still.
Like, you still have to execute the plays.
That's
all you have to do. His preparation, his attention to detail is one of the best of all time. And Chris knows that is my favorite player of all time. And Chris hates when I talk about it.
We're on the Steelers podcast here, so I don't say
you knew me, and I was like, and plus, another one is this. What clinched the GOAT was actually Super Bowl 49. We all know.
That way.
Hold on. We're not talking about that play. We all know what happened. Everybody gone over that for the past several years about that. That was supposed to be the greatest defense of all time. They were arguing about that. They were up. That defense was up at a 10-point lead in the Super Bowl. And Brady carved them apart in the fourth quarter. That's greatness. That's why when we ever mention defenses, they're not going to make that list. Because the Super Bowl, if you're the greatest defense, one of the great defenses of all time, that doesn't happen. And that man made it happen.
Legion of Boom, really, really, when I think of best defenses for Super Bowl history, I think of the Legion of Boom the year before. That one disqualified them, basically. But they're still a great defense in their own right. But, man, that was just tough to watch. And really, I think a lot of people would have excused it if they walk away with that victory anyway. Nobody
but they didn't. So
afterwards,
because that's why you run the ball at the 1 yard line. Brandon,
I honestly thought your favorite player was Clinton Portis of all time.
No, Brady.
Hey,
Brady, Sean Taylor, Ray Lewis,
Clinton Portis.
Those are my holy trinity. Like Brady, Sean Taylor, Ray Lewis, Moss. That's my top 4.
No Vic? He carved up. Oh, yeah, that's right. He got disqualified when he carved up the football team on Monday night.
It wasn't even that. I just didn't.
I'm messing with you. Quick 5 for me. Owens, Aeneas Williams. Those are 1 and 2. Number 3 for me. It's going to be a random list, but this is just off personal feelings. Steve McNair. Number 4, I'm probably going to go with Moss. And 5. 5, Vic. Yeah, that's.
I'm trying to think about my 5th favorite. top player. I like Aaron Donald right now. He's like my favorite current. I mean, he's like, I guess my favorite, but I like watching him play. So that's my 5. All right, Chris, go ahead.
I honestly have to think about like non-Steelers you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh yes, not Steelers. Please, just
non-Steelers.
You go 5 Steelers.
Even though Vic was a Steeler, but yeah,
I can't think. To be honest, I would have to think harder. I can't give
that. That was a hard 5, and probably if I had more time to think about it, I would think of a better 5 than that. But I'm kind of like an old head when it comes into it. I glamorize the 2000s era NFL too much because that's whenever I was hardcore into it. Not that I'm not now, but there was still to be young, basically.
Yeah. So other news that came yesterday, Art Murray II, he talked with members of the Pittsburgh media, and he said Kevin Colbert, he's retiring after the 2022 NFL draft. So how do you guys feel about that? We all thought it was going to happen. It's now official now that Colbert is moving on. They already, I think they said they interviewed Omar Khan and Brandon Hunt. Those have always been the 2 names that have been favored to replace Colbert. So do you think they'll go with either one of those, or do you think they'll go outside the organization?
I already told you how I felt about it. I think Tomlin should be in charge of the football operations.
He said that they're not going to do that.
They're not going to do that? That's fine.
Wow,
I said he should.
I don't know about that, but I guess these guys have been in lockstep behind Colbert for years, so I'll trust the Steelers in that designation. But man, I wouldn't want to have a situation for Mike Tomlin like there could potentially be for Sean Payton, where he says, "Hey, if I had these 2 teams, they come knocking on my door, I'll say yes."
Yeah.
But what would those teams be for Tomlin?
I think it'll be down the road. I don't think it
had to be really down the road. Yeah, I could see him potentially wanting to run back to Tampa Bay, especially if Arians decides to retire.
You know what? That might
where he had stops. I could see him coming back to Tampa and Minnesota if the situation is right.
Yeah.
But also, if when Tomlin says he's done, that's when you'd have to take a look around. Yeah. For example, if I could get an assurance from the Cowboys that Sean Payton would come as the head coach, I'd say bye Greenfield, Mike. Not to hate you, but I would say yeah. Because
you think Tomlin would go to the Cowboys?
No, I'm talking about for Sean. Payton. For Sean Payton. Oh, yeah. I'd look at it like this. That dude turned around the most impossible situation in NFL history, especially coming out of a natural disaster.
Yeah. But I think
he's a coach. He's in there.
He's in there. He's a Hall of Fame coach. So
even with the year off because of that ridiculous bounty hunting.
That was thing. That's a lot of teams do it. They just got caught and they were they were just reckless with it. So it's just crazy to think that he gets held accountable for it. And basically, like, only a couple players got hit on that. And he gets it. And Greg Williams is the one running his mouth. I don't even know how he got another head coaching. Not head coaching job. Coaching in the NFL for as long as he did. Because that's more on him than on Peyton.
Yeah, Peyton ran the offense.
He ran the offense. He let the guys on defense, Greg Williams, do it. But the thing was, because I don't think that Super Bowl was tainted.
No.
That shouldn't. They were the best team in that league that year.
Hell, the last time they were in Miami for the Super Bowl, they should have been there.
Oh, yeah. No, hold on.
It was
that Super Bowl was in Atlanta.
No, that's
Super Bowl in Miami.
The Super Bowl with the Colts in it. It was the Colts and Bears. They should have been in that Super Bowl. Even though
they could have been in that Super Bowl,
I just
but
will never trust Rex Grossman, and I think the Bears screwed himself over by not putting Kyle Orton as the quarterback. Then they benched him after Jerome Bettis running through the snow and just running over Brian Urlacher.
Yeah, he got benched and they put him in. I was like, ugh, what are they doing? Because that was the year after.
Yeah, that was the year after.
That was the year after. The year with the Bears went to the Super Bowl, and we're talking old school.
The year
that was because they had Devin Hester that year, and he was returning everything in his mama back to the end zone. That was the defense, Thomas Jones and Cedric Benson going against Peyton Manning and the Colts. So it was just quick. It was just like that.
But it was Peyton's year.
It was Peyton's year.
Peyton Manning.
We're talking like that. But but back to the story at hand.
Well,
Would Tomlin, you said you don't think you don't think he's gonna leave?
Well, what they said, he said, Art Rooney, that they're going to keep the same structure. So that basically they're not going to put Tomlin as head of football operations.
So it's going to be. So you think it's Omar Khan's job to lose?
I think Brandon Hunt's actually more because he's more of a similar type to Colbert, where he's like scouting, strictly like football kind of. Well, Khan's more of like a cap guru type of person, not as much as like a talent evaluator. So I think they're going to.
So you think Brandon Hunt is the?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Brandon Hunt, but he interviewed for the Raiders job too. So
that goes to the. Do you think the Steelers? I asked this before, but now since it's. Do you think they should go outside the organization for a GM?
Yeah, he said, reading from what the reporter said, that Rooney said that they're going to look, they're going to look for, keep their.
What do you think the better course is?
Outside
or internal?
I've heard good things about Brandon Hunt, so I mean,
we're not saying that's not where I'm going. I think
I don't know if it's good to go outside the organization. It's like whatever they feel is best. I mean, everything that I've read, they said great things about him.
Okay, that's good. But is there say if they have a better? You think you can find somebody better outside the organization, Chris? Like
maybe I don't know it. Do you have any names?
I don't know.
If I don't know a name, I can't really say much about it.
I can't say that, but the thing is, I think it's time for the Steelers to get a different set of eyes in the organization because the culture, it's still not what it used to. Let's just keep it honest. They are not what they used to be. The culture is not. I think it's a good time when, as Ben retires, Colbert leaving. I know Mike Tomlin is still there. I guess you don't want to mess up the apple cart. I think it's the best time to change directions and change a little bit of your philosophy because right now it's a little dated. Not all the way dated like the Giants are or the Bears are or the Packers are. The Steelers are a little bit more – they're part of that old money clique of the league, but they're just a little bit more progressive than them, but I think they still need to be a more progressive organization as they move forward.
Look, I know that we think that it's largely the GM that comes up with the Steelers culture, but you have to look in situations like this, especially when it comes to the way that Steelers deal with money. That goes straight to the top. That's ownership. In a way, I don't think that would change no matter who would come in as a GM for the Steelers. So that's where I kind of lean towards in this situation when I look at the two guys they have right there. If the Steelers' cap situation was in dire straits like it is for the Saints right now, I'd hire Khan to get them out of that. That's where it comes to the situation. They're about to run into this offseason with $41 million, and that may jump even more. So that's where I go Hunt has the edge in terms of my eyes with it. in terms of it, if I was getting a guy from maybe KC, like if I was getting KC's assistant GM or the
who
guy
just
from
went to the Bears,
yeah, or the guy from the Bills who looks like it's gonna be with Dable out with the Giants, I would look in a situation like that. Because if I was a GM prospect right now, I'd be banging on the Steelers' door because that's the most attractive prospect in the entire league in terms of it.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Ty, like with the Steelers organization, it's all top comes from Art Rooney II, and because some teams, the general manager could like fire the head coach, and like that's not how the Steelers operate.
So that I mean, just go ahead.
It's pockets when you come down to it. Largely, the way the Steelers do business in terms of contracts comes down to how much is in their pocket. And the Rooneys, they got money. They got money, but it's not Jerry Jones. It's not Kroenke. It's not the Glazers. It's not anyone from the Fenway organization taking over the Penguins. But it's enough for them to do the things that they need. If they need to go out and get something, they can go out and do it.
Right.
So in terms of that, if you're looking for the Steelers to say, okay, we're going to screw our contract ways in terms of the Steeler way.
No, that's not where we're going. I'm talking about culture, having like better, more progressive eyes. I'm not talking about contracts and money and stuff like that. I'm talking about ways. Eyes,
that largely goes into money. In the end, come on, man. AD's entire situation is largely came down to money, man. That's culture. Money is culture.
Yeah,
I just don't see that. In terms of if you're looking for a return to the mid 2000s dominance of the Steelers, I got some bad news for you, man. That takes something special. I just don't know if that's going to happen anymore.
It's like something special, like drafting a quarterback out of Miami, Ohio.
Yeah,
that's what's going to take, something like that. But I just think like certain teams, I'm just afraid that the Steelers are going to be stuck in their lanes and they're going to be left behind. Like certain, like say like the teams I just mentioned, if they. And now you don't have Ben to hold you up. So they're going to be left behind like what the Giants are right now.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing them get more outside coach. We've said that before. Like they're always
outside coaching, outside the organization.
But as far as GM, like I mentioned, I don't know any names really, but I would be perfectly fine with Brandon Hunt because he's a young guy coming up in the league and he's been with the Steelers for he's been there for a while, but over 10 years. So why not give him a chance? I mean, he knows the Steelers.
I'm not saying not give him a chance. Give him a chance, but if you want to have certain progressive vibes from another organization, I mean, why don't you pick from what, for example, what the Bengals are doing right now? I'm just not saying them per se. I'm just saying them as a team, just for an example, or somebody from, I don't know, somebody from Tampa Bay or San Francisco, something like that.
You want a coaching. This seems like you want a coaching culture thing than a GM culture.
It could be a coaching thing too.
I agree with.
For assistant coaches, for assistant, it could be anything. I'm talking in the Steelers in general. General manager, front office, coaching, anything. The Rooneys are smart. The Rooneys are smart enough to know when to change something up, to freshen some things up. They don't do it that often, but they know when it's time to do it.
Well, what happened with the Bengals is that they had terrible seasons and they had the number 1 draft pick and they selected Joe Burrow, and then they matched him with a receiver. It was dynamic and unbelievable to watch in Chase, Jamar Chase. So that's 2 top 10 picks right there. Changed really, and I mean, they had other good picks. They beefed up their defensive line. They got Mike Hilton. So,
Hendrickson.
Yeah. So I mean, I wrote this earlier.
They're spending. What they did is smart spending in free agency. That's what helped them out a little bit.
They did it the way they should have. They did it the way that you do whenever you have a lot of money and a lot of draft capital. You draft smartly and you pick up free agents that'll help take you to the next level. That's what they did. And quick. And quick. I mean, that was really like maybe a 2-3 year rebuild for the Bengals.
It's like 2 years. They were really bad in 2019, I remember. They were awful.
Yeah, but they were they were thinking that they had Andy Dalton and AJ Green and all them people, all them guys still.
But he was in,
the wheels fell off
they were
basically for that pairing.
But I wrote earlier this week, like, do you think the Steelers need to have a losing season to get like an elite quarterback like, Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen? Or like, I mean, I looked at their cases and they both traded up to get their guys.
They did. He traded up. They traded up. They chinked. A stupid football team didn't take a quarterback when they should have, and passed up on Justin Herbert. I'm talking about the Dolphins. But just people falls in your lap. It's just gotta be aggressive in finding your people, your guys, quarterback.
I mean, this year is not really the year to trade up, I think. But you think if say they're 500 or like they were this season, like 9-8, or like they had that tie, but like say they win 9 wins or whatever, and they're picking around the same spot, and next year 2023, can you see them moving up like what the Chiefs did to get Mahomes, trading a couple big picks?
They could have the draft capital.
If they traded for Minkah Fitzpatrick, a safety, gave up a first round for a safety, I would think they would give up give up a first round, future first to get what they want.
Yeah, should be interesting. I think, say they don't have a losing season, in 2022, then I think that's what they have to do, because they're not going to get a elite quarterback, I think, if they're like 18 or 20 if they're drafted at that slot.
I mean, if you look at it right now, I think a trade partner to look out for the Steelers as we go into the draft season, this is just early prognostications. It would probably be Philadelphia, because a lot of people are going to look at the Eagles because they have back-to-back picks, 15 and 16. So, and they have another pick at 18, I believe, as well. So a lot of teams are going to look at Philadelphia as the team to trade up with, because of how much picks they have. They can afford to trade back if they want to, if they don't like a guy at a certain time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the Steelers are picking 20th. So if they feel like it, and if they're going to lose one of those GM prospects, and it's likely going to be Khan, because again, this is just my base off of it. You're going to be under the cap anyway. Unless they keep him for contract reasons in terms of finding out guys with that, or he just decides, I'm just going to stay here with the next GM. I think they're going to have more capital that can allow them to move up into that 15 spot and maybe get a center. Or maybe if they really, 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 for some reason, over the next week or so, fall in love with some quarterback who may not be as good as what people think, they could do something.
Yeah, I saw Kenny or Bill Cowher said that he likes Kenny Pickett. He likes the fact that he was a fifth-year senior and has that experience. And I don't know, it should be interesting with Pickett.
But he only had one good year.
Yeah, I was looking at the stats. Like it was like
I want to basically put it to you like this.
I don't trust that at all.
I want to put it to you like this. He probably would have had a better season in his true senior year if 1, he didn't get hurt. 2, if the wide receivers around him actually caught the ball, because I know that a lot of people weren't really paying attention with it. They had Steeler-like drop issues the year before Pickett went off. When it came through, you could thank the wide receiver coach. You could thank another year with Mark Whipple, and, of course, another year playing against 19 to 20 to 21-year-olds out there. But still, regardless, there was a lot of things that Pickett did well in that season that you could see. And also, if they want to go back later for another quarterback past round 1, which I think they'll also might do, there's Willis, there's Ritter, even though guys like, for example, your boy, Chris, Nick Faribaugh doesn't like him.
Oh, really?
And of course, if you're feeling froggy about Corral at any point. So, yeah, there is a lot of things that they could do in this situation when it comes to a quarterback. And I know that people go, it's not a good idea to talk about a quarterback when most likely the Steelers don't talk about it. When a Hall of Famer retires, you talk about getting a quarterback.
So yes, I think people complain about Pickett's hand size and stuff. Wasn't that the same case with Burrow?
Yeah, but Pickett wore gloves. But once upon a time, he didn't wear gloves. And as far as I'm concerned, I look at it like this: that was one thing with Baker Mayfield they were talking about, and Kyler Murray, especially him being 5'10" it is.
So why don't they like quarterbacks with small? Because they can't grip the ball, and is it arm strength or like?
It's worry about grip. Sack fumbles. Especially with how edge rushers love to paw at the ball, and being that they let up on a lot of this Huck Rule stuff in the last decade. So yeah.
So hold up. So what was Burrow's hand size?
I don't know. I don't really follow that stuff, to be honest.
It's dumb.
It's really a whack. It's really one of those whack things. I think I understand the importance of it in terms of the underwear Olympics and also the future. But really, unless you're going out there to catch the ball, I don't really care.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks, they do have like huge hands. You ever seen like Drew Brees, like when they lift up their hands, like some of the analysts, I mean, they have huge hands.
Yeah. Drew Brees had some mitts on him for somebody being 6 foot.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why he was drafted the way he is. A lot of it was ability, but yeah, that it plays a role, but it's not really going to be the end all be all. Right. And if anyone's worried about it, didn't we have a quarterback just recently that basically wore 2 gloves all the time, at least not just in the winter because it's Pittsburgh, it gets cold like it is right now.
Oh, it's 14 degrees here in Pittsburgh, just for the people who are watching. Jesus Christ. January weather.
Oh, you guys got anything? I think we covered the Ben, Brady, Colbert retiring after the draft, this year's draft. So I think we got everything. You guys have anything else to say?
No, I'm basically done. I think this is probably the most animated I've ever been on this podcast.
Man,
God,
I'm good.
Brandon.
I'm good.
I'm turning into Stephen A.
I'm not even me. I'm becoming a calm one on this podcast. You're starting to be a little bit. No, I'm not, because I definitely was going in my bag the other way. I asked a question, and then the other question after the Steelers game, I dropped a couple S-bombs. So.
I just got triggered about 2018 with Ben because I don't see where everyone was saying like, yo, he should have retired right then and there. I'm like, yeah, I guess you wanted to retire off a good season, but
no, I said trade him.
Oh,
trade him after 2018.
We forgot to mention this. There's one thing we were supposed to mention. Mike Singletary, who was the 49ers head coach in 2010, said that he vetoed a trade for Ben Roethlisberger to go to San Francisco.
Yeah, that was pretty crack. I wrote real quick about that earlier this week about, I guess all the front office people, the 49ers, they had a trade plan. And I guess, reading from the timeline, I guess this was after the first allegation. So this would have been 2009. So I went back and I looked at old reports because I remember the Raiders. There was talks about the Steelers contacting the Raiders. And I remembered that. And I looked up at an old article, and I didn't remember this, but the Steelers actually approached the Rams, and there was a report that they wanted to trade Roethlisberger for the number 1 pick, and they had plans to draft Sam Bradford. So, and the Rams refused. But can you imagine if that ended up being a case?
That would have been.
God, that would have been.
Yeah, this was after the second allegation, because at that point, like the Steelers, they really like their patience started to get thin, and they reached out to these teams.
Yeah, there would have been so many think tank pieces on the Roonies getting rid of players because this is after Santonio Holmes and that situation. So
Yeah.
I think this would have been the one where people wouldn't have blamed them, but if it would have worked, but I think after just off the hindsight of what we know about Sam Bradford now, people would have been jumping off the Smithfield Street Bridge.
Yeah, and Singletary, I guess, like he wanted to keep a culture where, like, because Roethlisberger, he wanted to keep like a clean, high character type of thing, and he believed in Alex Smith too. But he said in the article that if he had to do it all over again, he wouldn't have vetoed that trade proposal.
Oh no, I don't know why he did that. Oh, he would probably still have his job.
Yeah, definitely.
He would probably still be coaching.
He had a good start to his coaching career and all that stuff, but there's a reason why you don't see much future Hall of Famers future.
He was a Hall of Famer.
He was a Hall of Famer.
He was a
you don't
Hall
see
of
many
Famer.
Hall of Fame players that go into coaching.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the future too much here. You guys got me stressed out.
Yeah, we talking about future Hall of Famer Ben. Hall of Famer should be a Hall of Famer now. Brady. They should just induct him today. And then maybe Rodgers retires. Who knows?
I think he's going to Denver. I
think he's going to Denver as well.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's lining up that way. They coached. You got hired there, the offensive coordinator,
and then they got put Devontae in that group.
Yeah. Who's your guy there, Ty, at Steel Valley? They're talking about him going there too.
Luke Getsy, but if he becomes the quarterbacks coach, it's official. I'm gonna have an AFC West team. I'm gonna have an actual reason to pay Patrick Mahomes. Aside, not that I do this anyway. His fiance and his brother. I don't hate them at all. I'll have different reasons to.
Oh, they're pretty
hate
annoying.
the Chiefs.
It's bad.
Yeah, I don't even care.
Oh yeah,
they're annoying, but I don't.
You know what?
I
hope the Bengals beat the. Hold up. Thank you, Ty, for reminding me of that. His brother, Bengals, Cincinnati, Who Dey Nation. Make sure y'all win tomorrow. His brother is a piece of crap. Patrick Mahomes' brother is a piece of garbage. And you know why, Chris, and you know why, Ty. You know what his brother did.
For those who are frequently off in the loop, he basically danced on the memorial on the field, the memorial logo for Sean Taylor. And basically, if you heard this podcast before, you know that his favorite player, at least in the top two, is Sean Taylor. And within reason, he was dead wrong for that. But there's a lot worse other things that you can hate the Chiefs for and not want them to win, because I hate his brother and I hate his fiance. I'm like, that's stupid. Unless you hate the AFC West or you're cheering for the Bengals, really, you should root for Patrick Mahomes. So if you hate him because of who he chooses to be with and who he's basically stuck with because of familiar reasons, you're lame as hell. That's all I'm going to say.
Hold up. But for doing that, no, that's unforgivable. He's a piece of crap for that. And I kept it clean today. But he's a piece of crap for that.
But the Chiefs,
that's disrespectful.
The Chiefs overall, I don't really mind.
I don't hate the Chiefs either.
But they've been. Really,
I just want the Bengals to win.
Yeah. You just
tomorrow because of that.
To hit Jackson Mahomes. That's all you want. You want the JuJu Smith-Schuster situation. We're not going to talk about that rumor of him going to Kansas City because that will extend this podcast for another hour. So that'll do it for Russ.
Okay.
I'm Tom Polk. That's Chris Ward. That's Brandon Walker. I'm playing the long way. This is the Renegade Blitz. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you for listening to the Renegade Blitz podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at @RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. Read articles on renegadeblitz.com, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. The Renegade Blitz podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts.